It began on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, in a small southern town that hadn't quite caught up with the country it was part of. The streets were quiet, the sky gray, and the tension in the air as heavy as the clouds above. John Kennedy, a sharply dressed black man in his early 40s, was driving a modest black sedan through a residential neighborhood. He wasn't lost, he was observing, calmly taking in the condition of the roads, sidewalks, and signage. What the officer watching from a patrol car didn't know was that Kennedy wasn't just passing through. He was on assignment as part of the Department of Justice's Office for Civil Rights. Kennedy had been sent to investigate multiple complaints about racial profiling and misconduct in the local police department. He wasn't wearing a badge on his chest, but he had authority in his briefcase, and truth in his purpose. But authority doesn't always protect you from prejudice. As Kennedy pulled up to a stop sign, taking notes on his phone, flashing lights blazed behind him, a white police cruiser. Then a short blip of the siren. He put his phone down, rolled down the window, and kept both hands on the wheel. He'd done nothing wrong, but he knew that wouldn't matter. It rarely did. The officer approached, tall and stocky, early 50s, with a badge that read Captain R. Donovan. He didn't greet. He didn't ask. He barked. License and registration. Now, Kennedy obliged silently, calm and respectful, offering the documents with a nod. But the captain's eyes narrowed the moment he saw the name on the license. John Kennedy, huh? He sneered. Funny name for a guy like you. Kennedy remained composed, but his heartbeat ticked faster. He had heard things about this department, but seeing it firsthand was something else. Is there a reason I was stopped, Captain? He asked evenly. You don't ask the questions, Donovan snapped. Step out of the vehicle. No, Sir, Kennedy said calmly, unless you have probable cause or a reasonable suspicion of a crime. That was all it took. In a flash, the door was yanked open. Kennedy barely had time to unbuckle his seatbelt before Donovan slammed him against the car, arms twisted behind his back. The rain hadn't let up, and now it mixed with the cold steel of the hood and the humiliation burning in Kennedy's chest. People in nearby homes peered out through curtains. Phones started recording. You think you're smarter than me, huh? Donovan spat, pressing him harder. Think you can outtalk me? Kennedy didn't resist. He had been trained for this not just in his role at the DOJ, but in life. He knew that surviving the moment was more powerful than fighting it. Captain, he said, voice steady, you're making a serious mistake. Donovan scoffed, still gripping him roughly. You people always say that. But then Kennedy's briefcase caught the officer's eye, fallen on the seat, partially open. Inside, an official DOJ folder, with the seal clearly visible. Beside it, his credentials. His title: Senior Investigator, U.S. Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division. Donovan paused, his grip loosened. Confusion crept in. He stepped back slightly, grabbed the ID, and stared at it for a long moment, too long. The color drained from his face. DOJ Kennedy stood up slowly, brushing off his sleeves, rain sliding down his forehead but not affecting his poise. Yes, Captain, and I was here to investigate this department's practices. I hadn't even written a report yet. Donovan's mouth opened, then shut again. Around them, the air shifted. The cameras kept rolling. Kennedy didn't yell. He didn't throw accusations. He didn't need to. Thank you for confirming some of the allegations, he said softly. The fallout came quickly. Within 48 hours, the footage went viral. Local news picked it up first, then national. Social media exploded with outrage, but also admiration for Kennedy's calm under pressure. Donovan was placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. And within weeks, sweeping changes were implemented in the department: mandatory racial bias training, citizen review boards, and federal oversight. But the real story wasn't about Donovan. It was about Kennedy, a man who had every reason to rage but chose dignity, who carried not just a title, but purpose, who didn't raise his voice, but whose truth echoed across the country. In an interview days later, Kennedy was asked how he stayed so calm. He smiled and said, because I wasn't just protecting myself, I was protecting the people who've been silenced for years. If I lose control, the story becomes about my reaction, not their reality. That's not justice. That's distraction. And I came here to shine a light, not throw a punch. The host went quiet. The audience clapped. And somewhere in America, a young black boy watched that clip and realized something powerful. You don't have to shout to shake the system. Sometimes, you just have to stand, with grace, with courage, with truth.